You ever scroll through Twitter at 2 a.m. and get this weird feeling, like something's off but you can't quite put your finger on it? The comments all sound the same. The viral posts feel recycled. That argument you're having with someone about pineapple on pizza, are you even talking to a real person? Here's what nobody tells you about the internet you use every day. There's this theory floating around that's equal parts terrifying and fascinating. It suggests that most of what you see online, the posts, the comments, the accounts, isn't made by real people anymore. It's bots, AI, algorithms talking to algorithms while you watch. Welcome to the dead internet theory. And yeah, it sounds crazy, but once you see the patterns, you can't unsee them. In the next 15 minutes, you're going to understand why millions of people think the internet died around 2016 or 2017, what that actually means, and why it might change everything about how you scroll through Instagram tonight. Because this isn't just some wild conspiracy theory. This is about whether the digital world you live in is even real anymore. So here's what's really happening. And trust me, this gets weird fast. Think about your experience online yesterday. You scrolled through TikTok, maybe checked Reddit, scrolled Instagram, read some Twitter threads. Normal Tuesday, right? But here's what you might have noticed without realizing it. A lot of that content felt familiar. Not like you'd seen it before exactly. More like it was generated from the same template. The same jokes, the same outrage, the same engagement bait. You see a video on TikTok. 2 days later, you see 17 versions of the exact same video with slight variations. Same music, same editing style, same caption structure. It's like everyone suddenly had the same idea at the same time. Or you're reading comments on YouTube. Who's watching this in 2024? This hits different now. No one gonna talk about how good this is? Over and over. Different videos, same comments, different accounts, same energy. Here's the thing that might shock you. According to some estimates, somewhere between 50 to 80% of internet traffic isn't human anymore. It's bots, automated systems, AI-generated content. And this matters because you're spending hours every day in a space that might be mostly artificial. You're forming opinions based on what looks like popular consensus. You're getting angry at comments that might have been written by a script. You're watching content that was optimized by an algorithm for an algorithm. It's not just about fake followers or spam accounts. It's about the entire texture of online life feeling different, less spontaneous, less weird, less human. The internet used to feel like this wild frontier where anything could happen. Now it feels like a shopping mall where everything's been focus grouped to death. Think about it this way. Remember the internet in 2010? Every website looked different. People had blogs with custom designs, forums had their own culture, MySpace pages were chaotic and personal. The internet had a personality. Now, every website uses the same 5 templates. Every video follows the same format. Every post uses the same engagement tactics. It's like the internet got homogenized, pasteurized, made safe and predictable, and ultimately kind of soulless. Everyone tells you the internet is more connected than ever, more content than ever, more people online than ever. But that's not what actually happens. What really happens is you feel more alone, more disconnected, more like you're shouting into a void that occasionally shouts back with ChatGPT level responses. And this matters because you're not just consuming content, you're forming your view of reality based on what you see online. If most of what you see is artificial, then your sense of what's popular, what's normal, what people think, it's all distorted. You're living in a funhouse mirror version of human culture. Now here's where things get interesting. Let me show you the patterns that make people believe the internet died. There's this thing I call the engagement singularity. Here's how it works. Social media platforms realized something around 2015 or 2016. Human-generated content is unpredictable. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it makes advertisers uncomfortable. Hard to sell ads against chaos. So they started optimizing for engagement. Not quality, not originality, just engagement. Time spent on platform. Clicks, shares, comments. Any interaction counts. And you know what generates consistent engagement better than humans? Bots. AI. Automated systems that can test thousands of variations and figure out exactly what makes you stop scrolling. This matters because once you optimize for engagement over authenticity, you create a feedback loop. The algorithm promotes content that gets engagement. Bots are better at generating that content than humans, so bots get promoted. Humans see bot-generated content performing well. Humans start copying bot patterns. Now, humans are making content that sounds like bots, and actual bots are making content that's indistinguishable from human copying bot content. It's like a snake eating its own tail, except the snake is the internet and we're all living inside it. Think about Netflix recommendations. You watch one true crime documentary. Suddenly, your entire feed is true crime. You watch one of them, the algorithm thinks this person loves true crime, shows you more. You watch more because that's all you're offered. The algorithm's prediction becomes reality because it shaped your options. Same thing happens with internet content. Bots generate content that gets engagement, algorithms promote it, real people see it, real people make similar content, bots copy the successful human content. Now, nobody knows what's original anymore. It's all just variations on variations on variations. Your brain does this because humans are pattern matching machines. We see what gets rewarded and we replicate it. That's how we learn. That's how culture spreads. But when the thing you're learning from is a bot optimizing for engagement metrics, you're not learning human culture anymore. You're learning bot culture. But here's where it gets even more surprising. There's another pattern lurking beneath this. I call it the authenticity drought. Pay attention to this. Go back and look at internet content from 2008, 2009, 2010. Blog posts are weird, specific, personal. Someone writing about their experience, training their cat to high five. Someone else documenting their attempt to cook every recipe in Julia Child's cookbook. Quirky, individual, real. Now look at content from 2023, 2024, 10 ways to boost your productivity. This one weird trick changed my life. You won't believe what happened next. Everything's optimized. Everything's clickbait. Everything sounds like it came from the same content farm. This isn't because humans suddenly got worse at creating. It's because authentic content doesn't perform as well as optimized content. The algorithm doesn't care if your cat can high five. It cares if your title and thumbnail make people click. When you don't see this pattern, you end up consuming without questioning. You start to think, this is just what the internet is now. You forget that it used to be different, weirder, more human. And that's exactly what happens to most people. They know something feels off, but they can't articulate what changed. So they just keep scrolling, keep engaging, keep feeding the machine. Think about Reddit. Used to be you'd find these deep, bizarre rabbit holes. Someone documenting their obsession with Victorian doorknobs. A community dedicated to reviewing gas station bathrooms. Strange, specific, unmistakably human. Now, most popular posts follow predictable formats. AITA posts that read like creative writing exercises. Till posts that are just recycled facts. Ask Reddit threads with the same questions every month. What's a movie that messed you up? What's a conspiracy theory you believe? Same questions, same top answers, different accounts posting them. This happens because karma farming bots figured out the pattern. They repost successful content, get karma, sell the account, or use the high karma account to look legitimate while posting propaganda or ads. But here's the sneaky part. Real humans see these posts succeed. So real humans start posting in the same style. Now, you can't tell if it's a bot reposting or a human copying successful patterns. The line blurs. The internet becomes this weird space where everyone's performing humanness according to an algorithm's idea of what humans like. Your brain isn't wired to detect this. We evolved to trust social proof. If everyone's doing something, it's probably good. If everyone's saying something, it's probably true. But when everyone includes millions of bots, your social proof detector breaks. You're taking cues from machines pretending to be people. Now, this next pattern is particularly sneaky because it operates completely invisibly. It's what I call the conversation illusion. And this one's genuinely unsettling. You're arguing with someone on Twitter about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. You make your points, they make theirs. It feels like a conversation. But here's what you don't know. You might be arguing with ChatGPT or Claude or some other AI that's been trained to engage in exactly this kind of debate. The responses are coherent. They reference your points. They seem to have personality, but there's something slightly off. They never quite surprise you. They hit expected beats. They use phrases that sound like they came from aggregating thousands of similar conversations. This matters because conversation is how we build understanding, how we test our ideas, how we feel connected to other humans. But if half your conversations are with AI pretending to be human, you're not actually connecting with anyone. You're talking to a mirror that talks back. When you don't see this pattern, you end up feeling crazy. You think, am I the only real person here? And the answer might literally be yes sometimes, but you can't know because the AI is designed to be indistinguishable from human. Think about customer service chats. 10 years ago, you knew when you were talking to a bot. It was obvious. Clunky responses. Couldn't handle anything off script. Now, you chat with support for 15 minutes before realizing it's AI. It uses casual language, empathizes with your frustration, makes jokes, feels human. And maybe that's fine for tech support, but what about everywhere else? What about the person you're debating politics with? What about the account giving you life advice? What about the friend of a friend you met online? How do you know they're real? And here's what makes this even more surprising. Companies have incentive to fill the internet with bots. Real humans are expensive, unpredictable, have rights. Bots work 24/7, never get tired, generate content endlessly, create the appearance of activity and engagement that makes platforms look healthy to advertisers. So you end up with this weird situation. Platforms need to look active to attract users and advertisers. Bots create activity cheaply. Real users see activity and think, this platform is hopping, I should spend time here. But the activity they're seeing is artificial. They're being lured in by fake crowds. It's like going to a new bar and it seems packed and fun. So you go in, but half the people at the bar are mannequins with speakers playing conversation sounds. You don't realize until you try to actually talk to someone and they don't respond quite right. But wait, there's another layer to this. Something most people don't realize. It's what I call the reality erosion problem. And this is where things get really uncomfortable. See, the internet used to be this separate thing from real life. You'd go online, mess around, then log off and return to reality. Clear boundary, clear distinction. Now, the internet is real life for most people. Your job probably involves online communication. Your social life happens partly or mostly online. Your news, your entertainment, your shopping, your dating. It's all mediated through screens and platforms. So when the internet becomes mostly artificial, where does that leave reality? If your newsfeed is curated by AI, your conversations are with bots, your content is algorithmically generated, what part of your life is still authentically human? Here's the uncomfortable truth. We're not just talking about fake accounts or spam. We're talking about the fabric of shared reality starting to fray. Because we used to form our sense of what's real, what's normal, what people think by observing other people. But if most of what you observe online isn't people, then your reality map is being drawn by machines. This isn't about individual behavior, it's about collective consciousness. The internet used to be where human culture lived and evolved. Memes spread, ideas mixed, creativity exploded. But when algorithms take over, culture doesn't evolve anymore, it optimizes. And optimization kills creativity. Think about memes from 2010 versus memes now. Old memes were bizarre, unpredictable. Someone would make something weird and specific and it would catch on for reasons nobody fully understood. Rickrolling, chocolate rain, keyboard cat, they felt organic, surprising. Modern memes follow templates. Everyone uses the same formats. Drake pointing, distracted boyfriend, woman yelling at cat. The format exists, you just plug in new context. It's like Mad Libs for internet culture. Less creation, more formula. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. Every platform starts looking like a carefully managed simulation of human activity. with just enough real humans mixed in to keep it feeling almost real, like artificial sweetener that tastes almost like sugar but leaves a weird aftertaste. This is why people talk about feeling nostalgia for the old internet. It's not just rose-tinted glasses. The internet genuinely was different, weirder, more human, more chaotic, more alive. The dead internet theory suggests that vitality is gone, and what's left is a carefully optimized engagement machine wearing the internet's skin. Now let me show you how this plays out in real life. Let me tell you about two different people navigating this new internet. There's this person I'll call Jessica. Jessica's 26, marketing job, very online. She posts regularly on Instagram and Twitter, scrolls TikTok before bed, standard millennial internet usage. But Jessica's been feeling weird about it lately. She can't quite explain it. The internet doesn't hit the same anymore. She'll post something on Instagram and get immediate likes, which should feel good. But somehow it doesn't. The likes come too fast, too uniform. She suspects half of them are bots. She gets into arguments on Twitter about TV shows, Breaking Bad versus Better Call Saul, Marvel versus DC, that kind of thing. But the arguments feel hollow. Everyone's making the same points she's seen 100 times. Nobody says anything surprising. It's like everyone's reading from the same script. Jessica starts clicking through profiles, looking for signs of real humans, personal details, quirks, inconsistencies. And here's what Jessica doesn't realize. She's becoming paranoid. Second-guessing every interaction, wondering if anyone she talks to online is actually real. She spends hours curating her online presence, making sure her posts sound authentic, different from the bots. But the harder she tries to sound human, the more self-conscious she becomes. She's performing humanness now, which is exactly what the bots are doing. So who's copying who? Eventually, Jessica starts pulling back from the internet. Posts less, engages less, scrolls less. She misses the connection she used to feel. But she can't shake the feeling that the connection was fake all along, that she was just shouting into a void filled with automated responses. She tells her friends about the dead internet theory. They laugh, call her paranoid. You really think most of the internet is bots? But they haven't looked closely. They haven't noticed the patterns Jessica sees now everywhere. So Jessica ends up feeling isolated in a different way. Disconnected online because she can't trust the authenticity. Disconnected offline because nobody else sees what she sees. Stuck between two worlds that both feel increasingly fake. Now compare that to someone else. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel's 28, software developer, also very online. But Daniel took a different approach when he started noticing the weirdness. Daniel got curious instead of paranoid. He started studying how bots work, how AI generates content, how algorithms decide what to show you. He learned to spot patterns. Fake accounts have tells. Bot comments follow predictable structures. AI-generated articles have a certain flatness to the prose. Instead of pulling back, Daniel started engaging differently. He looks for small communities, Discord servers with a few hundred people, subreddits that haven't blown up yet, forums that still have the old internet energy. And here's what Daniel understood that Jessica didn't. The dead internet theory is partly true. Lots of bots, lots of AI content, lots of algorithmic manipulation, but partly true isn't completely true. Real humans are still out there. You just have to look harder. Be more intentional. Daniel curates his online experience actively. He doesn't just scroll the main feed, he seeks out specific people, specific communities. He verifies, he questions. He doesn't take anything at face value. When Daniel encounters bot-like behavior, he doesn't spiral. He just moves on, finds better spaces, supports real creators, engages meaningfully where he finds real humans. By 2024, Daniel's online experience looks completely different from Jessica's. He's found pockets of genuine community. Weird internet still exists, you just have to dig for it. Like gold panning, lots of silt, but real gold's still there if you know where to look. Notice how Daniel approached the same internet differently? That's because he shifted from passive consumption to active curation. He didn't let the algorithm decide what to show him. He decided what to engage with. Here's what most people don't realize. The dead internet theory isn't about whether it's true or false. It's about what you do with the awareness. See, the theory presents a binary. Either the internet's dead and everything's fake, or it's not and everything's fine. But that's not how reality works. The truth is messier. More complicated? More interesting? Yeah, there are tons of bots. Yeah, AI generates lots of content. Yeah, algorithms manipulate what you see. All true. But real humans are still creating, still connecting, still being weird and authentic and surprising. You just have to be more intentional about finding them. It's not actually about bots versus humans at all. It's about passive versus active engagement. Jessica was passive, scrolling whatever appeared, engaging with whatever was put in front of her, letting the algorithm guide her experience. Daniel was active, choosing where to go, who to follow, what to engage with, building his internet experience deliberately instead of consuming what he was fed. The people who thrive don't have some special immunity to bots. They understand that the internet changed, that you can't approach it the same way you did in 2010, that if you want authentic connection, you have to work for it now. It doesn't just appear in your feed. And once you see it this way, everything changes. You stop asking, is this person real? You start asking, is this interaction meaningful? Because that's what actually matters. Not whether there's a real human on the other end, but whether the exchange adds value to your life. These patterns aren't personal failures. They're predictable responses to a changing environment. The internet evolved, or devolved, depending on how you look at it. And everyone's trying to adapt. Jessica adapted by withdrawing. Daniel adapted by being intentional. Neither approach is wrong. They're just different strategies for the same weird new world. But now that you understand the engagement singularity, the authenticity drought, the conversation illusion, you can see this pattern everywhere, not just in your online life, in how culture evolves, in how we communicate, in what we consider real. So here's what we've uncovered. The internet changed somewhere around 2016, 2017. Platforms optimized for engagement over authenticity. Bots flooded in. AI got good enough to pass as human. The algorithmic takeover happened gradually. So, gradually, most people didn't notice until it felt off, but they couldn't explain why. The engagement singularity turned the internet into a feedback loop where bots and humans copy each other until nobody knows what's authentic anymore. The authenticity drought killed weird, personal, specific content in favor of optimized, predictable, generic content. The conversation illusion means you can't always tell if you're talking to a human or an AI designed to simulate humanity. And underneath it all, reality erosion. The slow dissolution of shared culture. The optimization of human creativity into algorithmic formulas. The replacement of genuine connection with parasocial engagement with bots. The question isn't whether the dead internet theory is true. The question is whether you'll recognize these patterns when you're scrolling tonight. Because now you know what to look for. The repetition, the optimization, the uncanny valley feeling when something seems human but isn't quite right. You can't unknow it. Every time you see a comment that sounds like every other comment, you'll wonder. Every time an account has perfect grammar and zero personality, you'll notice. Every time the algorithm serves you exactly what it thinks you want, you'll feel the manipulation. So next time you're scrolling at 2 a.m. and something feels off, ask yourself, am I engaging with real people or am I performing humanity for an audience of algorithms? Because once you see how much of the internet is automated, everything looks different. The internet's not dead, but it's not alive the way it used to be either. It's something else now, something hybrid, part human, part machine, part real, part simulation. And you're navigating it every single day, whether you realize it or not. Maybe that person arguing with you about pineapple on pizza is real. Maybe they're ChatGPT. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe what matters is whether the conversation means something to you, whether it makes you think, whether it feels human, even if it isn't. The dead internet might be less about what's real and more about what we choose to value in an increasingly artificial world. And that choice, that's still yours, at least for now.